Hi everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name's Jamie and today I will be leading you through a yin yoga class to relieve stress and tension in the body. This is a great class to do this time of year as we head into the holiday season when things can be very joyful and exciting as well as sometimes kind of stressful, chaotic, and often triggering. So this is going to be a great way to just slow down and get to know your body on a deeper level as we stretch into the connective tissues. So we will be holding poses for a couple minutes at a time, and you're not going to go all the way to your deepest point right away because the point of yin yoga is to allow yourself to relax into the pose over time and sustain it for 2 to 3 minutes at a time. So to start, you will want to have either a yoga strap. You can also have a towel, a dog leash, or anything really that doubles as a strap. You'll also want to have either a small pillow, a yoga block, or a blanket. So go ahead and get those things ready and then we'll get started. We will begin in child's pose. For this pose, you will bring your knees out wide on your mat and bring your big toes to touch. Then you'll sit your hips back as you extend your chest and your upper body forward, and then come to relax your head down. It's up to you what you do with your hands, if you keep them extended out in front of you, or maybe you want to bring them a little bit closer to you. So come into this pose and begin to breathe. Let your body relax against your mat. And the target area for this pose is the hips, the inner hips, the thighs, the low back. So create the pose so you're able to feel a slight sensation, a slight stretch in those areas. But again, you're going to want to sustain this stretch for a couple minutes at a time. So don't let it be too intense that you're wanting to come out of it right away. As you hold the pose, focus on your breathing and just notice the patterns. How deeply and fully are you breathing? Can you use each exhale to allow your body to soften? Use your breath as a physical anchor to bring you into the present moment and to feel into your body and recognize what's there. What are you feeling in your hips and your low back? And can you be with that sensation, whatever it is? And start to move out of the pose. So first, deepen your breath so you can feel your inhale going all the way down towards your hips, towards your thighs, and completely filling up your body before you release the air out. And then start to lift up onto your hands and knees and lower down onto your belly all the way to your mat. The next pose is called Sphinx. Bring your forearms parallel to each other, flat down on your mat, and place your hands down into your mat, palms face down, and spread your fingertips out wide. You're propping yourself up to create a back bend and press your chest forward to further bend the spine forward. And you might notice some discomfort where you're stretching, which is in the lower spinal area. If you feel any pressure or tingling or pain, lower down out of the pose a bit. If you're just feeling that nice stretch, maybe a bit of discomfort in trying to stretch, allow yourself to stay there. And then close your eyes. You can allow your head to gently drop and see if you can release all of the efforting in your muscles except for what it takes to hold you up in the pose. So allow your shoulders to soften down away from your ears and allow yourself to stretch deeply into the pose and find some release. Again, focus on your breath and on the areas where you're feeling the tension, where you're feeling sensation. We're about halfway through this pose. If you'd like, you can stay right here and just hold the pose. If your body is saying it wants to go a bit deeper, bring your pinkies out to the edges of your mat. Press down and forward through your hands to lift your chest up higher. You won't want your elbows to be completely straight. You'll want a slight bend. And again, you don't want any pain or pressure in the low back. You'll take a few breaths to get used to being here and to holding the pose. See if you can soften as much as possible and allow the inner parts of your body, the connective tissues like the fascia, the joints, the ligaments, to stretch. You'll exit the pose with care. First, deepen your breath. Lower your arms down to your mat if they were extended. send your elbows out to the sides to lower your chest. Then drop your head down, turn it to one side, and relax here. Even though you have come out of the stretch, it is still in your body. So you might notice some tingling in the area that you just stretched. Might notice some dullness in that area. See if you can just notice the sensations without trying to give them meaning. And just be with whatever is, be with your body however it is right now. The next pose is half frog. Bring your arms out to a cactus position and start to lift your right knee, slide it up towards your elbow, but start off just bringing it to about 90 degrees. So this stretch is in the inner thighs, the hips, and the groin area. So you'll start right here. You can either flex your foot or just allow it to be soft and allow your entire body to melt down towards your mat. Turn your head to one side, and you'll notice your right hip is probably slightly lifted. That's okay. As you breathe and hold the pose, you'll allow that part of you to stretch and open to where gravity will eventually lower your hip closer to your mat. And focus your awareness on breathing into your right hip, your lower back area on the right side, anywhere where you're feeling the stretch. If you notice that you're not feeling much sensation anymore, you're welcome to slide your right knee slightly closer towards your elbow. And again, just begin to breathe and allow your hip to start to drop down towards your mat. Come out of the pose. Slowly start to straighten your right leg. And relax at center. As you rest between the sides of this pose, notice what you're feeling on the right side of your body, especially in your hip and thigh area, and what you're feeling on the left side of your body, which you haven't stretched yet. We'll move on to the other side. Bring your arms to a cactus position and start to slide your left knee up towards your elbow. This time you'll turn your head to the left side, and you might notice your body tensing up when you first move into the pose. So use those first few breaths to settle in and just notice what sensation the pose brings up. You have the option to deepen the pose by lifting the knee higher. But just because you go into the deeper pose on one side doesn't mean you have to do that on both sides. Each side will likely feel very unique. You start to slowly release your left leg back towards your right. And relax in the center. Notice your breath and any feelings coming up in your body. Notice if you're feeling emotional release anywhere, or if you're just feeling any tightness or resistance, or maybe you feel a bit more open somewhere. There's no right or wrong here, just observe. And then bring your hands underneath your shoulders and begin to press up to your knees. Keep your knees at the center of your chest as you fold into a different variation of child's pose. And this time, allow your shoulders to drop down towards your mat. Let your spine round and your head relax. And today, this serves as a forward fold, which is a good thing to do after hip stretches because it stretches out your low back, which can often be tugged on if you have tight hips and you work on opening them. Gently start to roll your spine up and come into a seated pose. For this pose, grab your strap or towel or leash. And this is called cow face, which is pretty much a full body stretch, both upper and lower body. You'll bring your left leg down to your mat. Make sure you have both sit bones firmly down on your mat. And cross your right leg over the left. And you'll start to move that foot towards your hip so that your knees stack right on top of left. If you have very tight hips or if you're not used to doing poses like this, your pose might not look like this. So you might have your knee lifted a little bit higher, and that's okay. Start to pull gently your feet towards your hips. So this stretch is in the ankles, the legs, and of course the outer hip area where you're probably feeling some sensation. Now for the arms, you'll grab your strap and lift the strap over your head in your right hand. Bring your left arm out to the side, palm facing behind you, and then bend your arm and start to reach up towards your shoulders. So you'll grab the strap with your left hand. You might be flexible enough to grab fingertip to fingertip between hands, or you might need a little bit of space in the strap. So you'll pull up with the right hand and down with the left, and allow your shoulders to relax down to open up the chest, the armpits, the upper back. And now you'll just begin to breathe. I recommend closing your eyes and scanning your body from your root all the way up through the crown of your head. Notice any areas that feel particularly tense. And with each breath, each exhale, give that part of your body permission to soften and release. And notice your default patterns here. So maybe coming into a pose like this where there's a lot going on, you're stretching in a way that your body's not used to. Maybe you started to hold your breath or breathe quickly. And that's okay. That doesn't mean you did something wrong. It's your body automatically reacting to the stress that you're creating by coming into the pose. So you have the option to slow down, breathe intentionally, and allow the muscles around those joints that you're stretching to relax. And then the body starts to take shape. And now if you'd like to go deeper, you have the option to hinge forward at your hips and then round your spine, let your head get heavy. But you always want to keep your sit bones fully on your mat for this pose. Begin lifting up on an exhale. Release the strap from the left hand as you bring it around. Release the right hand, drop the strap off to the side. And then use your hands to lift your knee and your foot to uncross the legs. If you'd like, you can bring your feet out in front of you and move your knees side to side. Get some release in your low back and any other areas that felt that stretch. So we take time moving in and out of the stretches because any action we take with our bodies, our body has a reaction to it. So in order to slow down the response and be able to relax with these stretches that are going deep into the body, we have to be able to slow down. And if we go too quickly, our body's just going to bounce back. Our mind is just going to bounce back and fight against the pose rather than work with it to reshape the body. So next we will bring the left leg Next, we will bring the right leg down to your mat. Get situated and centered on your sit bones, and then move the right foot over to the left foot over to the right side, sorry. Stack knee over knee and gently pull your feet towards you. Then you'll create the pose in your arms with the strap overhead with your left hand. Bring your right hand out to the side, palm turns towards the back of the room, and bend at your elbow. And start to work your hands closer together. Take the first few breaths to settle in and notice the resistance and the tightness rather than fighting against it. Simply observe and breathe. You might notice that the pose feels very different on this side, especially in areas like your shoulders and your hips. Our bodies are not symmetrical most of the time. So instead of trying to create the same pose that you just did on the other side, see if you can notice what is unique about this side. If you'd like, you can hinge forward at the hips and fold over your thighs. Soften completely. And begin to exit from the pose with care. One thing at a time. We won't use the straps anymore for this class, so you can just move that off to the side. Use the support of your hands and your arms to release your legs. And windshield wiper side to side. And then we'll come into a short rebound pose. Keep your knees bent as you sit and hug your knees in. Drop your head down so you're curled up in a seated ball with a slight forward fold. Again, you're just releasing your low back, giving it some love, a gentle stretch after opening up the hips. And then you can start to roll down onto your back. The next pose is actually a more restorative pose than yin, but you do get a little bit of a stretch in your back. So you'll take either your pillow or blanket or yoga block and place it right underneath your low hips, right around your sacrum area. So it'll be different person to person, but you'll want to keep it pretty low on your hips in order for it to be comfortable. And lift your legs straight up. So the block or the pillow is creating a lift in your hips to get it over the rest of your back, keeping this curvature in the spine and creating a slight stretch in that area. But really this pose is great for your adrenal system. It activates your parasympathetic nervous system, which is the rest and digest system. So you might feel a calm energy come over you. See if you can let your shoulders get heavy and drop down towards your mat. And close your eyes. And draw your attention inward. Recognize what's going on in your mind. Is there any mental chatter, any thoughts that are trying to distract you? And instead of trying to avoid that, can you practice noticing it just like you would the sensation in your body and allow it to be there and allow your thoughts to soften and release, just like you did with your muscles in the poses earlier. Keep your eyes closed as you bend your knees in towards your chest. Press down into your arms to lift your hips and remove the block. Then let your spine lower, one vertebrae at a time, onto your mat. Bring your hips your legs, your feet down. Next, we'll come into our final resting pose, everyone's favorite pose of any class. So extend your legs out long on your mat. Reach your arms overhead. Create length in the body. Deep, full body stretch. And then release your arms down by your sides, either palms down or palms face up, whatever is more comfortable and natural feeling to you. Let your shoulders drop down onto your back and onto your mat. And send your legs out towards the corners of your mat. Take up the space around you. And see if you can soften your entire body. All the way down from your toes, up through your face muscles, even the crown of your head. Allow gravity to keep you here. There is nothing to do, nowhere to be, except this moment and this place where you are right now. Shavasana. Relax here for as long as you'd like. When you're ready to come out, start to wiggle your fingers and toes. Move your head side to side. Make your way over into a fetal position. Press yourself up to an easy seat on your mat. I like to sit with legs crossed, but sit however is comfortable for you. So tall and relaxed. Hands come to your heart. Close your eyes. And just take a moment of gratitude for yourself and for your practice. And commit to being this new stress-free version of yourself for the remainder of your day. Remind yourself that you deserve to rest and relax and to be the best version of yourself. Thank you for joining me. Namaste.